Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing extremely well. Welcome back to the new series, Caps Have Donut Legacy Fighters from the early Cold War that we need. In DCS today, the North American F-100D Super Sabre. My first memories of the Super Sabre, I've never seen one fly. It was just too early. And my earliest memories was my older brother who got me into aeroplanes when I was 7 or maybe 8, had Airfix models, plastic models hanging from his bedroom ceiling, and one of them that always fascinated me was the F-100. And I didn't know anything about planes there, I thought they looked cool and they had big guns and whatnot, but what does a 7-year-old think of aircraft? And I always was fascinated by this, the shape of it, the purpose of it, it looks great, and nothing has changed. I think it's one of the most beautiful fighters, purpose-built looking type of fighters ever built. Always been fascinated by it, would love to fly a virtual version of it. So, F-100D Super Sabre. So let's crack on. The North American F-100 Super Sabre is an American supersonic jet fighter aircraft that served with the United States Air Force, the USAF, from 1954 to 1971. So it carried on from, if you like, the F-86 Sabre, and this is the Super Sabre, supersonic version of it, and with the Air National Guard ANG until 1979. The first of the Century series of the USAF fighters. It was the first USAF fighter capable of supersonic speed in level flight. The F-100 was designed by North American Aviation as a higher performance follow-up to the F-86 Sabre air superiority fighter. Adapted as a fighter bomber, the F-100 was succeeded by the Mach 2 class F-105 Thunderchief for strike missions over North Vietnam. The F-100 flew extensively over South Vietnam as the Air Force's primary close air support jet until being replaced by the more efficient subsonic LTV A-7 Corsair II. What a lovely side aspect there. Just proportions are just right of the aircraft. Beautiful. Design and development. In January 1951, the North American Aviation delivered an unsolicited proposal for a supersonic day fighter to the United States Air Force. Named Sabre 45 because of its 45-degree wing sweep, it represented an evolution of the F-86 Sabre. The mock-up was inspected on 7th of July 1951, and after over 100 modifications, the new aircraft was accepted as the F-100 on 30th of November 1951. Extensive use of titanium throughout the aircraft was notable. Had no idea, but awesome. Presumably that because that's the high speed, you're going to need metals that are strong enough, but also can resist the high temperatures. On 3rd of January 1952, the USAF ordered 2 prototypes, followed by 23 F-100As in February and an additional 250 F-100As in August. The YF-100A first flew on 25th of May 1953, 7 months ahead of the schedule. Wow, that's rare nowadays. It reached Mach 1.04 in spite of being fitted with a derated XJ57P7 engine. USAF operational evaluation from November 1953 to December 1955 found the new fighter to have superior performance, but declared it not ready for wide-scale deployment due to various deficiencies in the design. Particularly troubling was the yaw instability in certain regimes of flight, which produced inertia coupling. The aircraft could develop a sudden yaw and roll, which would happen too fast for the pilot to correct and would quickly overstress the aircraft structure to disintegration. One thing I know about the F-100 was it was one of the planes, a bit like the 104, that was unofficially called a widowmaker, in that it would kill lots of its pilots that didn't quite know how to handle its eccentricities. I've got a lovely picture here of contemporary fighters of the time. Note the afterburning engine. Achievements. The first operational aircraft in USAF inventory capable of exceeding speed of sound in level flight. On 20th of August 1955, an F-100C set a supersonic world speed record of 822.135 miles per hour, 740 knots. On 4th of September 1955, an F-100C won the Bendix Trophy, covering 2,235 miles at an average speed of 611 miles per hour. On 26th December 1957, 2 F-100Ds became the first ever aircraft to successfully perform buddy refueling. Oh, I didn't know that, but awesome. On 13th of May 1957, 3 F-100Cs set a new world distance record for a single-engine aircraft by covering, wow, the 6,710-mile distance from London to Los Angeles in 14 hours and 4 minutes. The flight was accomplished using in-flight refueling. On the 7th of August 1959, 2 F-100Fs became the first ever jet fighters to fly over the North Pole. Awesome. On 4th of April 1965, the first USAF aircraft to engage in aerial combat during the Vietnam War while escorting 105 Thunder Chiefs to a target. Didn't know that. General characteristics. Length, 50 feet. Wingspan, 38 feet. Height, 16 feet. Wow, that's quite high. Wing area, 400 feet squared. Empty weight, 21,000 pounds. Loaded weight, 28, nearly 29,000 pounds, around 30 metric tons, about the same as an F-16 roughly. Max takeoff weight, 34,000 pounds, 35,000 pounds. Zero lift drag coefficient, 0.0130. Drag area, 5 feet squared. Aspect ratio, 3.76. Power plant, 1 times Pratt & Whitney J57 P21 21A turbojet with afterburner. Dry thrust, 10,000 pounds. Thrust with afterburner, 16,000 pounds. It is a pretty miserable power to weight ratio compared to modern fighters, but you've got to put this into the context of the time. Performance, maximum speed, 750 knots at a local Mach 1.3. Range, 1,733 nautical miles. Surface ceiling, 50,000 feet. Rate of climb, 22,500 feet per minute. Wing loading, 72.1 pounds per foot squared. Thrust to weight ratio, 0.55. Something like an F-15 nowadays or an F-16 would be above 1. Lift to drag ratio, 13.9. Armament, guns, 4 times 20mm Pontiac M39A1 revolver cannon, each with 200 rounds per gun. Missiles, 4 times A9 Sidewinder. Now, I'm not sure what versions they are, but it's going to be an early version, obviously. Going to be a B or something, maybe a slightly later model. 2 times AGM-12 Bullpup. So these are the, the original first-gen guided air-to-ground missiles. We have essentially a joystick to guide the thing in. Awesome. 2 times or 4 times LAU-3 A 2.75 unguided rocket dispensers. Bombs, 7,000 pounds of. I have a cockpit view, and this is my type of cockpit. You've got no MFDs there. One thing I noticed immediately, I've never seen a cockpit from this plane, is the horrendous visibility at the front. I'm not sure what that's all about. Let's have a look at an external shot. Yeah, nasty visibility problem there.
Yeah, not the best.
Shame. The rest of the canopy is really good, but okay. Yeah, just a nice, good old-fashioned, analog, simple cockpit. Exactly what I'm into. Really cool stuff there. Another version. Real-life stories from the jet. Our team was flying low-level in spread formation from Fairbanks to Elmdorf in 1960 when I felt a pretty good vibration, and then things smoothed out. I climbed to 2,000 feet, AGL, and one of the wingmen took this photo. It's got no bloody rudder. Took this photo. We continued to Elmendorf and had no crosswind and landed without a problem. Our maintenance crew replaced the rudder and we flew the next day. Neil L. Edding. So, I'm not quite sure how that happens, but apparently the rudder fell off. I wonder if we gave it a good boot left and right and it fell off due to overstress, because that's a thing.
Bet it fell down.
On Friday, December the 1st, 1961, the pilot of a flaming United States Air Force F-100 Super Sabre jet fighter steered it until the last possible instant to glide it away from residential areas and workmen on a bridge. The pilot escaped uninjured as his plane plunged out of control into the Niagara River Gorge. The Air Force plane screamed into the Niagara Gorge and exploded, narrowly missing 15 steelworkers on scaffolding located at the top of the bridge arch. As many as 40 construction workmen were in the area. The plane crashed near the American end of the Queenstown-Lewiston International Bridge. The jet fighter passed between the framework of the new international bridge and the vertical frame that is to support the roadway, which is very close. The arch rising from the bottom of the gorge, bending out of the river, makes a deep V with the vertical frame. It was like a Finnish steam bath on the spot, said Urka Sakina, Finnish carpenter, who said the plane passed 15 feet over his head as he worked on the bridge project. That must have woken them up. And that's all we've got there. So keeping it nice and short, introduction to the F-100 Super Sabre. Like I said, it's a real favourite of mine and I'd love to have it. Anything you want to add to that, Super Ivan?
Oh, it's a beautiful bird cap.
It certainly is, it certainly is. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and see you later.